Oh, what's up, folks? We are here to do another live show of the outdoor news, and this one's completely live. Unlike the show that I posted out of order, which was show 8, and my interview with LSUS fishing coach Charles Thompson. I got those a little out of sequence, but that's okay. So I highly, strongly encourage you because there was some great information shared in that interview with Coach Charles that if you have a junior angler or student or kid or friend of a friend that you know or somebody else's kid that might be interested in fishing or high school age that may be interested in doing college level fishing, go back and watch that interview. That's show number 8. I posted it a couple of days ago. And also, I would encourage you, I put it in the comments of that show. But Greg Hicks from Antlers and Hicks, the Facebook page, and he has a YouTube channel, also did an interview with Coach Charles. And that was a great interview as well and gives even more insight into the LSUS fishing team and fishing program and to Coach Charles. So I would strongly encourage everybody to go check out both of those shows, mine and Greg Hicks. All right. And I just came across some information here. Actually, a post on on Louisiana high school bass fishing, or at least let me rephrase that. It was apparently a coach or volunteer or somebody with the Louisiana High School Bass Fishing Association's post that was being a little critical of the boat captains and all that, not following the rules. And so I may read that here in just a second because Tommy, who runs that organization and does a fine job of it, was also commenting on it. So anyway, we'll share that in a minute. All right, here's kind of the rules of the live show. Whether I'm talking about anything that's raising some eyebrows or whether I'm just on here talking about fishing, the rules are pretty simple. I don't really moderate the comments. I'm not gonna censor anybody or anything. I just ask that, remember, people of all age groups watch this show. So if you're going to comment, keep it relatively civil. I don't mind if you disagree with me or have questions or anything like that about anything that I cover. I just ask that you keep it moderately civil in the comments. But be aware, if you comment, I may show it on the live show and I may have some counterpoints to your comment. And so that's pretty much the way it goes. Other than that, I certainly encourage a lively debate in the commentary. Show number 9 got a lot of comments. And so we'll discuss that for a few minutes. Okay. And you'll see me looking over here just a little bit. That's because I'm trying to watch the live feed comments as they're coming in, which they hadn't really started yet. We've got about 15 to 20 folks watching right now, and I'm glad to have every single one of you. But you'll also see I've got a couple of notes and some bullet points I'm looking at. So when you see me looking around or whatever, don't sweat it that much. All right. So what are we going to talk about first tonight? And I think I want to start this one out. Show number 9 that I did with Eddie Hyatt Sr., we had both positive and negative things that we talked about. And I think I want to do this show the same way. So I'm going to start out showing you guys a video that I uploaded on the Facebook page on the Outdoor News. But if you hadn't seen it yet, I'm going to run it. It's about a minute. I think it kind of sets a good mood and a spirit. And so anyway, I'm going to hit play, be back in 1 minute, and let's get into the topics. Want to know what it's like?
Oh my God. Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Run!
cannot express what it's like with Eddie Hyatt Jr. and Maddox Williams. All right, so the reason I'm showing that video is kind of twofold. One, I think it, kind of a fun little video there, and that is really what the experience of fishing around, or with, for that matter, Eddie Hyatt Jr. and Maddox Williams, that's really literally what it's like. That's the best way that I can describe that. But I also want to address something else. So Eddie Sr. and I talked about this in the last show, and it's no secret at all. I was down on Caney Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we left Sunday. It was pouring down rain Sunday, so we didn't really fish Sunday. We went down there. Mike Davis took his boat. I took my boat. We got an Airbnb deal. We invited Eddie Hyatt Sr., Eddie Hyatt Jr., and Maddox, as well as Mike's cousin Ernie, who is boat captaining for one of the, I believe it's Natchitoches Central, is the school or club they're fishing with. Anyway, it's Ernie's grandson, Skylar. We talked about that. And we all just had a big time. Now, I guess I'm going to have to start up a bass club called the, I don't know, what am I going to call it? Maybe the He-Man Bass Cheaters Club. And I guess I'm going to have to be the founding member, because coming from certain teams, and I'm not going to mention the school out loud, but it's pretty easy to connect the dots where the rumor originates. Coming from certain teams, I was down there showing Eddie Sr. and them where to fish and putting them on fish. Folks, I have fished Caney 3 times in the last 20 years. I can go down there and catch some small fish or bed fish, maybe. So there was certainly, I want to dispel that rumor right off the bat. There was none of that. There was no hole sitting or anything else going on. We videoed them from behind, literally following them around like any camera boat would do, which I might add is not against the rules. And it's certainly not illegal because it's a public lake. So I wanted to dispel that rumor real quickly. And I hate to say it, but social media is the place to do it. And so let's talk about that for just a moment. So the reason I'm using social media is pretty simple. What I'm saying, positive or negative, about any topic, it doesn't even have to be about high school fishing. It can be about anything. I've done shows with Jeff Sibley. I've done shows with Mike Cork. I've done plenty of shows. It's all still out there. It's all public. And what I'm saying here, I will be glad to say to anybody's face. It doesn't matter. But I'll also say this. I've not received one phone call or one text message from anybody with the league since show number 9. As a matter of fact, the only text messages I've gotten since Caney were thanking me for helping with the takeoff by Shane, the president, and Charlie, who is the treasurer, Charlie Nichols and Shane Nugent. That's it. And then Charlie sent me a text message and wanted to know if show 9 was going to be a bash session, if I can say that, or was it going to be constructive criticism? That's the only messages I've gotten, only phone calls I've gotten. And the truth is, I don't expect any phone calls. I don't care. What is interesting is that the tournament director, Kirk, love him to death, great guy. I think he was completely in the right at the tournament, and we discussed that in show 9. But neither Kirk nor anybody in the league has contacted any of the teams that were DQ'd. And, well, I mean, maybe not any of them. I don't know all of them, but several of them have reached out to me, and they're yet to receive a phone call explaining the DQ, other than the, cute little letter that Kirk posted. I see that as a problem. And also, our math is completely correct. There were 79 teams, according to the league itself, that fished. There were 12, 11 at first, then 12 that were DQ'd completely. So all their points taken away. But there are also several more that got a reduction in points because they were late. And again, I'm all about the rules. You can ask anybody with the league. I'm a stickler for the rules, which is part of the reason they didn't make me tournament director. but I'm a stickler for the rules. And the problem is, if you're late unless it's the fault of the league itself or the organization putting it on. It could be any tournament. Look, if somebody's motor breaks down on the water and they're late, penalized, and after a certain amount of time, DQ'd, whatever the case may be. But when over 20% of your field reports a problem and you just ignore that fact, that itself is a real problem. Look, in the 6 years I've been dealing with the high school league, we hadn't had that many people late or DQ'd in the entire 6 years. And in one tournament, you have 15% of the field that gets DQ'd and several more boats that get penalized for, and everybody's reporting the same scenario. Sorry, boys, I'm going to stay on my soapbox. And look, it's y'all's league. It's a private organization, even though it's a 501c3. It's a not for profit, but it's still a private organization. You can make your rules and decide and do what you want. But I'm telling you, guys need to pay attention to your paying customers. That would be the teams, because they pay to fish those tournaments. And you're simply not listening to them and not communicating. And the challenge for them is that a lot of those people, look, I spent from the time Eddie and I got through with show 9, I was on the phone and text messages and Facebook messages until midnight from people calling and reaching out. Hey, glad you're speaking up because it's apparent that we can't, or nobody hears us, or nobody will listen to us. So again, they just made the wrong call, period. It's a simple solution, but they absolutely refuse to admit any fault. They're literally blaming this on the boat captains. And that's not the case. Look, I know one team that absolutely was not late. That team has protested it, and they're just ignoring the protest. Now, if you don't believe me, let me hear you in the comments, or you have my phone number. It's real simple. Hell, I'll invite you on the show right now. It's real easy. All right. So, I don't even know where to begin with this. Let me go down my notes and make sure I didn't get on my soapbox too much. As far as social media, again, going back to that point, social media is the perfect platform to do this. I'm doing this publicly. It's on YouTube and it's on Facebook, all public. I'm not hiding anything. And it's funny to me that, the league wants to make a statement about not using social media to discuss these problems, but they put that very statement out on social media. I mean, the irony there is just thick. All right. And also, I want to address this. These are issues. You don't have to worry. I'm not going to the Lake of the Pines tournament. There's no way. Or any of the rest of them. I'm completely done. I went to the Caney tournament because it was at Caney Lake. We had planned to go down there fishing anyway and kind of do a little mini vacation fishing trip sort of thing. And the fish being thrown, not just the takeoff. I mean, the takeoff was bad enough. Again, it wasn't completely disorganized, but it's the fact that none of the officers, and that's another thing they're pissed off at because I'm calling them out on it. None of the officers that were in line thought, oh, maybe we should be at the end of the line, even though we have all had those discussions amongst ourselves. I've literally had those discussions with every one of you guys, and you know that. But it wasn't even just the takeoff. When I came back in and they were flipping the fish up in the air and all that, and then the problems with the check-in that I witnessed firsthand, this is not stuff that people reached out to me and I'm on my soapbox without having been there and done that and seen it. And it's just a shame. All right. So, actually, I'm going to skip some of these notes. But one other thing, too, when you're on a public body of water, using public resources like the state park, you literally invite people. I know I wrote most of the verbiage on the website, and I've done a heck of a lot of the promo videos. When you literally invite and encourage the public to come out and watch, which I think is a wonderful thing, then don't get pissed off or bent out of shape if the public might be critical of things that you're doing incorrectly over and over and over. So that's the other thing. All right. I don't even know where to go with this. I guess we'll get right into it. So let's talk about tipping the scales and what that means. And if you got any questions, let's see. Quick question. I watched your video and you made a call to the tournament director because you had to get in the boat as an observer. Just curious why you made a call. Okay, sorry, Randy. Just saw that comment, so let me kind of resize it and I'll put it over here. So that's pretty easy to address. I didn't actually get in the boat, Randy. So if you're going to get your use or post information, make sure you do it the correct way. So in Ernie Davis's boat captain from again, forgive me, Ernie. I think it's Natchitoches Central that they're fishing under, the team that they're fishing under. The Fontenot boy had to leave for I don't know if he had a school dance, some kind of school function. And so Ernie called Mike Davis, which is his first cousin, and said, hey, we got to have 3 people in the boat. So if we get this approved and make sure, would you mind getting in the boat with us to be the 3rd person because of the stupid Safe Sports Act? And that's a whole other soapbox that I can get on, Randy, which doesn't even apply to fishing, but that's a whole other deal. So I'm glad you asked. That's another topic I need to do for a show. So I called Kirk because Mike didn't have Kirk's phone number, his correct phone number. I called Kirk and said, hey, here's the deal. Mike is going to go get in his boat. Is that okay? I had Kirk on speakerphone so Mike could hear. Is that okay? Or do they need to figure out something different? Kirk said, no, that is absolutely fine. So we called the tournament director, made sure that everything was okay. We ran over there. The Fontenot boy got out of the boat. His dad came and picked him up. Mike got in the boat, and I went bed fishing for a little while in Mike's boat. So there's your answer to that, Randy. Any other questions? All right. So let me get back to my notes. So let's talk about this, what the tipping the scales means. So here's the next thing. I mean, it's like we're a bunch of teenagers in high school or junior high school. It's not the kids that mess anything up. It's 99.99% of the time, it's all the immature adults. And I'm just using this as a soapbox and, of course, now to defend myself, which I figured certain people would try to attack me, and that's okay. I get it. So the new rumor is, and I know where it came from, and this came to me from multiple people, by the way. So to the person that got really upset about it, it came from multiple sources. Apparently, I must have turned the league in for their scales. I really have no concept of what that means. Now, to be clear, I was aware that the league scales had not been certified in a year or 2 or whatever, and some people had complained that the scales were weighing a little heavy. Well, honestly, it doesn't matter, because if the scales are weighing heavy for one team, they're weighing heavy for everybody, so it all balances out in the end. Big deal. But that's all I knew about it. Well, now the rumor is that I must have reported the league for their scales being off because I'm just mad and angry all the time. No, I did make the post about transferring the fish for the benefit of the league and everybody else that tries to do a scramble tournament. I mean, the video that Jeff Sibley did where we talked about that I also posted, I mean, that was like 2 years ago when Jeff Sibley and I did that interview. So I had no knowledge about these scales. So I thought, you know what? If I'm going to be accused of something, well, let's get to the bottom of it. And it just so happens I do this thing called Bossier Watch and Louisiana Watch. It's another Facebook Live show. And I'm pretty well versed at doing public information requests and how all that works. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to call the Department of Agriculture and I'm going to see what they say. Now, I've already posted this video and, before, but for the benefit of those that may not have seen it, I'm going to roll this video. So it's about 1 minute. Here we go.
Wait, Semester, this is Tiffany. How may I help you?
Hi, Tiffany. My name is Rex. I'm up in Bossier City, and I've got an interesting question for you.
Okay.
So, I'm going to be a weighmaster at a bass fishing tournament, okay? And
Okay.
I don't know if you know anything about fishing tournaments, but people bring their fish up to the scales, we weigh them, and then the fish get released back to the wild, okay?
Yes.
All right. Is there any...
Both my mom and my dad both won fishing tournaments back in the day.
Okay, great. So you know what I'm talking about. All right.
Yes.
Is there any requirement that you're aware of or any regulation or whatever that we have to use certified scales for fishing tournaments?
Yes, I believe so. But I'm going to let you talk to somebody that would know better than me.
Okay.
Hold on just a second.
Okay.
He said if they're winning prizes, yes, you do.
Okay. So here's another question to ask then. And this is going to
Okay.
sound like a little bit of drama. But
Okay.
I have been accused of turning in a tournament organization for not using certified scales, even though you just informed me of the law, which I didn't know about. So do I need to submit a public information request to see if anybody has reported a tournament organization in North Louisiana? Do I need to submit an information request, or how does that work? And also specifically, who is charged with enforcement of that? How does that process actually work?
The enforcement of the scales is through us, but hold on just a second. Let me let you talk to Paul. Hold on.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Paul.
Hey, Paul, this is Rex Moncrief up in Bossier City.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to sound crazy, but the lady that I was talking to before, she just informed me what the law reads and how that you guys handle the enforcement of using non-certified scales in a fishing tournament. All
Yeah.
right. So what I need to know, because I've been accused of turning in a tournament organization, which of course I didn't. But now that I know the law, so I'm interested to see, I don't know if I need to do a public information request to your office, but I want to see if anybody has ever reported the North Louisiana High School Fishing League to your office for the use of non-certified scales. To be clear, I'm not reporting them. As far as I know, they use certified scales.
Okay.
But I've been accused of this, and I didn't do it. So I want to find out who actually turned them in, if anybody did.
Okay. You got an email address?
Yes, sir. It's Rex, R-E-X. So I'm going to stop it right there because my email address, if you want to know, is rex@smartergeek.com. But the last 20 seconds of that is me just making sure you got the email address correctly. So the way the law reads, I hate to tell all of y'all that are running tournaments or may be associated with tournament organizations, high school or otherwise, it doesn't matter. Look, the truth is jackpot tournaments. I'm going to show you here in just a second. But if you give away any prizes of any sort, monetary or not, at a tournament, you have to go through the process to get the scale certified. You got to become a certified or approved weighmaster. There's actually, I think, a training class. You can reach out to the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and find all that out. So you can thank whoever started this rumor for now bringing to light the fact that all tournaments around here are legally required, all of them, that give away any prizes of any sort, monetary or not, gift cards, whatever the prize may be, doesn't matter. All are supposed to be using certified scales now. I didn't start this. I had no idea. No idea why you'd have to have a certified scale because, again, if the weight's off for one team, the weight's off for everybody, so it doesn't matter. It's not like you're trying to sell me, 10 pounds of hamburger meat and shafting me 2 pounds of that meat. If it's off for one, it's off for all. But apparently, according to the law, you've got to do that. All right. So let's pause there for a second. I'm going to put Randy's next comment up there, and then we'll get back to the scale. So Randy says, my point is when there is an issue with anything related with a problem during the tournament, why was the tournament director not notified? All right. Curious if Kirk had any phone calls. Well, Randy, if you know that I called Kirk about Mike and Ernie Davis's deal, then you also know that Kirk didn't get any phone calls. So quit being passive aggressive. And quit trying to play this tit for tat. You also know that the reason Kirk didn't get any calls is because there was literally a sign. We've already covered that, and multiple people have on the other show. There was a sign that check-in was up there at the peg booth, and the pegs were being accepted up there at the booth. That's why the kids didn't call, or the boat captains. You already know this, Randy. So quit trying the little passive-aggressive tit for tat. All right. And I love you, Randy. I think you're a great guy, but stop the shenanigans. All right, here we go. So back to the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and the scales. I'm glad to see you watching Ricky Bridges. I think you'll find this information interesting. Like I was saying, the problem is everybody that puts on a tournament and uses scales to weigh anything, it doesn't matter whether it's a crappie tournament or a bass tournament or a brim fishing tournament, you're supposed to have certified scales. So you need to reach out to the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and contact them to see what you need to do to get certified. If you need to be trained, if you got to go through the training process, you have to have them certified or recertified every year or inspected. Anyway, you can reach out to the Department of Agriculture for that, and you can thank your local fishing organization that started this rumor for having to do that now that everybody is educated with the law. Let's take a look at the actual screenshots. All right. So I've shown this previously, I think in the other video that I posted, but here was my public records request to them. It was for any and all requests or complaints concerning the use or lack thereof of certified scales by tournament organizations in Bossier, Shreveport, and Natchitoches. I just did a wide swath here. Please include copies of all correspondence of any such requests, including emails, digital media, faxes, submitted paperwork, or notes. Please make sure to identify the complainants or the requesters of such information. Well, let me drag this other screenshot over here. So hold on just a second. And through the magic of technology, here was part of the response. We'll get to the request for somebody turning somebody in here in a second. But here was a response to my request about information as far as who has to do what. And so here's the reply. Good morning, Mr. Moncrief. And you can see this was done on Friday, March the 22nd, just a few days ago. Any fishing tournament that gives out awards based on comparisons of weighments does indeed need to have their scale registered and certified by us annually because it is considered a commercial weighing and measuring device. I'm not familiar with the term jackpot tournament, but if they weigh the fish to determine who gets the prizes, then the following would all apply. And so he gives the legal definition. Commercial weighing and measuring device means any weight, measure, or weighing or measuring device commercially used or employed in establishing the size, quantity, or measurement of quantities of things, blah, 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 blah. Submitted for sale, hire, or award. That's the key point. Or award. Now, I'm no lawyer. Sometimes I'll try to play one on Facebook, but keyword there being award, and that to me is how it would tie into fishing tournaments. I'm going to post all of this on the Outdoor News after the show so that you can all see it in black and white. The law further defines weighing and measuring devices as weights, measures, and weighing and measuring devices includes all weights, scales, beams, so on and so forth. All right, let's move on to the second part of that. Since the tournament scale is legally considered a commercial weighing and measuring device, the following laws also apply to it. LDF must inspect the scale at least annually, at least once a year, and more often if thinks necessary. The department shall so inspect, test, and try all commercial weighing and measuring devices. No one shall use or have in his possession any commercial weighing or measuring device which has not been sealed by the department. You know, got the little label, I guess, or whatever on it. Let's go to the next part of that email. Fees, Weights, and Measures Fund. Each commercial weighing and measuring device, which is subject to the jurisdiction of the department, shall be registered annually with the department in accordance with rules and regulations adopted by the commissioner. Look down there at section 123, which is highlighted kind of at the bottom. And for those of you folks on phones or listening to the audio podcast when I release that, again, I understand that the text may be a little small. I will post all of this after the fact. But it says a weighmaster license shall be required of each individual in charge of weighing commodities being bought from or sold to the public, and each such individual weighing for the public when a charge is made for such weighing or when a certificate of weights is issued. So not only that, I hate to tell you, Ricky, Ricky says all of our Bass Life scales are certified by McKelly's, and they do buy and combine spot check them. You got to go get a Weighmaster certification because you're giving away a prize or award, which is the replica mounts. And look, the Bass Life's a great thing. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just telling you, y'all need to reach out to the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and make sure that you've got all your T's and all your T's crossed and all of your I's dotted. And again, you can thank your local tournament organization that likes to stir the pot with the rumor mill instead of trying, oh, I don't know, let's use facts for once. All right. So, what are the penalties for not doing all of the above? Well, RS 3 4624 says a violator of any provisions of this chapter or of any rule or regulation, blah, 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 shall be subject to a civil penalty. So it's not criminal. It's a civil penalty of not more than $500 for each act of violation. Each day on which a violation occurs shall be a separate offense. So you got a 2-day tournament. I'm no lawyer, but that would be 2 separate violations. And Charles Hogg, I appreciate that comment, says, man, I'm missing out on a lot, learning a lot. Thank you. That's what I'm trying to do, is educate while defending myself against the rumor mill and the whisper campaigns. And look, I want to say this too. I don't really know how to put this. When somebody has to put something out in the rumor mill and the whisper campaign, look, I used to be a paid political guy. Literally, I used to get paid to, like, I hate to say it, but it's true. Let's just say to help with campaigns. Let's just put it that way. So I know how this works. Fortunately, I've got a Facebook page and a YouTube deal that I'm trying to build my following on YouTube, you know. So I've got a platform. The truth is, everybody has a platform. You can all do this. If you don't like what I'm saying, make a podcast and counter what I'm saying. But I want everybody to understand that I'm doing this truly to educate everybody now. I didn't start this. I had no clue about any of this until, or the way the law reads, until last week when I decided to call the Department of Agriculture. All right, now, we're almost done, folks, I promise. Let's get to the request that I made for any and all complainants or requests made to the Louisiana Department of Agriculture, who would be the authority in all of this. Because again, I was accused of having called and reported or turned in or whatever the high school league, the North Louisiana High School League, for their scales not being certified. All right, so let's see what the response is. Says Mr. Moncrief, the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry is in receipt of your public records request made on March 21st, 2024 for the following documents, blah, 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 blah. Please be advised that the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry has no documents responsive to your request in custody. I trust that satisfies your public records request. Should you have any more, blah, 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 please contact. And look, any of y'all that want to doubt me, you can reach out to the Louisiana Department of Agriculture. You can reach out to these same people and see what they say. So what that means is nobody turned anybody into the Department of Agriculture. So the type of people that are doing this, that some of you are listening to, are the type of people that it's bad enough to start a rumor. If somebody had actually turned the league in, okay, hey, we think Rex did it because he's just pissed off, which is not true. I am pissed off about flipping the fish upside down. Nobody's addressed that from the league. Nobody, and there's zero excuse for that. I've been on my soapbox about fish releasing and the handling of fish with the league since day one, 2018. But nobody wants to address that. But I could understand somebody, if somebody had turned in or reported the league, I could see them saying, well, Rex must have done it because he's pissed off. But literally nobody's turned them in. So the people that you're dealing with there that start these types of rumors are people that would stoop so low as to not only start a rumor, but use a lie to start the rumor. It's almost like the same type of people that would start lies about other people and get that blown up in the news. I don't know. I mean, I'm just playing connect the dots here, and I'm on my soapbox, and I realize this is not the most positive show. I promise I'm going to have more positive deals. And look, I may not have any more guests on because nobody may want to come on the outdoor news besides lonely me, and that's okay. But when I have to use my platform to defend myself, I expected it, so I was prepared for all this. It just aggravates me. Especially, you're going to lie to start the rumor. At least have the rumor based in some sort of fact, you morons. Come on. All right. I might better quit while I'm ahead. Let me hear from some more of y'all in the comments. So let's see. Kyle Kennington says, Ricky, when I was on the board of Bass Life for like 15 years, I signed the checks each year to pay the state for their certification. We purchased all the scales from Mickley, but that's all they did. Look, I'm just telling you guys, I am no lawyer. I am no lawmaker, but you need to reach out to the Department of Agriculture and verify that you've got all your T's crossed and all your I's dotted legally. It's not like they have the, police department or the game wardens come around checking those scales. They mostly go on reports of that, and I have reported no one. But they go based on reports, and honestly, now let's be clear, since I made the information request and had the conversations with them, they might have fishing tournaments all over the state on their radar now. Who knows? So I'm just saying, it might not be just the certifications. You might have to have the person in charge of weighing that has to be certified as well. Double check and make sure. My Facebook legal advice is, take it for what it's worth. About 2 cents. All right. Any other questions before I move on to the next topic or decide to sign off here? Any other questions? Any questions about what I've said? I'm just sharing the information. I'm just literally putting it out there right now. I'm on my soapbox. I'm not done. There's a lot more that we're going to talk about. Look, in one of the future shows coming up pretty quick, I've been on my growth of bass fishing or growing the sport kick for a while because we had a spike, during the COVID era when people were starting to fish a lot and all that. That spike has since receded and we're now at pre-COVID levels, which are declining. So we've got to do something to actually grow the sport. One of the ways to do that is obviously the junior fishing, the high school fishing, and the collegiate fishing. I'm very passionate about all three. I am not against the North Louisiana League up here. I think it's a wonderful thing. And we all wish we would have had this, when we were teenagers and we were kids. The only thing we had back in the day was a New Star high school tournament over on Darbone Lake. And that was literally a free-for-all. It was a lot of fun, but there were no boat captains. It was all us kids in the boats all day fishing. So, let's see. Another comment from Randy. Randy says, just curious, Rex, do you know that someone actually accused you of this? Yes, I do, Randy. Absolutely, for a fact. 100%. Yes, I do. Or I wouldn't even be bringing this up. I wouldn't care. Yes, Rachel. I know. Facepalm for me too. John says, good show. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. And again, go back and watch the show with that I did with Charles Thompson, and go back and watch the ones that I did with Jeff Sibley and Mike Cork and Dan from up around the Vivian area with the Greater Caddo Lake Association. I do have some positive stuff. It's not always going to be me on my soapbox, I promise, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. So, let's see. What else are we gonna? Oh yeah, we're gonna take a look at see whether the sport of bass fishing is growing or not. I'm gonna try it. That information's not easy to get. And then we're gonna take a look at the numbers of some of the local high school organizations, including the North Louisiana High School Association. Look, here's the deal, folks. They had 79 teams show up at the Caney Lake tournament. This is not a slam on them. This is just a fact. You can go look at their numbers. That tournament should have had a huge participation rate with the fish that Colby Dark and his partner caught the big stringer down there. We've had Virgilito's team and girls caught pretty good stringer back there. And then let's see, Mason and Virgilito's daughter caught the 30-pound stringer. Anyway, I forget all the numbers, but the point is, Katie's been really on the upswing again, thank goodness. And so you would think that one tournament would have been a high participation rate tournament. It wasn't. And there's a reason for that. That's before any of this controversy. And so there's multiple reasons for it. I don't know. We want to talk about it and see why, because we want to get those numbers back up. And we want to get kids into the high school fishing. Again, I will say, I'm not here to try to talk people out of high school fishing. Heck, Eddie Sr. and I recommended the Northeast League. We recommended Tommy's League with Bass Nation down there. I've shared out plenty of posts over the last several days and been doing that about high school kids. Let's see, Carson and Jace just won the Bassmaster Classic high school deal, which is really cool. So I am absolutely for high school fishing and for the high school kids, and I am for the North Louisiana High School League. They just need to quit doing stupid stuff when they've been told repeatedly, literally led by hand. I've been there, done that, helped them, literally got my hands dirty setting all this up. Helping set up and all that sort of thing. I'm not talking about this just being some keyboard warrior. So that's the purpose of me doing this. And I want everybody to be crystal clear on that. All right. Any more questions from anybody? If not, most of you that are watching probably have my phone number. Text me. Leave a comment if you're watching later. Shoot me a Facebook message, whatever you want. And I'm sure all the rest of my fishing friends are pretty pissed off at me right now, but so be it. All right. I'll see y'all next time. I may try to do another one next Monday night. I may have some information together and do one later this week. I don't know. We'll kind of see how it goes. But anyway, I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate everybody commenting. Agree or disagree. I even appreciate Randy's comments when he's trying to throw out the red herrings and all that. I even appreciate all that. So that's it. I'm out of here. I'm going to hit the finish button.